So thanks everyone for joining me this morning. My name is Yifei Zhao and I am your course instructor for Drone Ground School. Today's webinar is on drone industry applications. This is also the first webinar in that first module for our Drone Ground School. So what I would like to do is start by just spending a couple of minutes going through the orientation for our Drone Ground School. Now in Ground School, we have a total of 11 modules. 2 of those modules include the live session, which are the webinar sessions we're running today. Module 11 is when you've gone through the course and almost ready to challenge Transport Canada's written exam. It's a great live session webinar to join to have all your questions answered and also take a quick review of the course. Both live sessions repeat on a monthly basis, so you can join as many as needed. The first live session, drone industry applications, is also a open for all webinar. So highly recommend everyone who are actively involved in the industry or just genuinely interested in drone technologies. This is a monthly webinar we host to talk about industry updates, new applications, and also for any of your questions related to the drone business side, feel free to come into this live session and ask your questions live. A quick recap on drone pilot certificate, also known as the drone license here in Canada. There are 2 categories, the advanced category and then the basic category. The advanced category, there is the online written exam advanced version. After that, you have to take an in-person flight review, which is similar to an actual hands-on flight test. The second category is the basic category. Can be completed by doing just the online written exam, either in the advanced or the basic category. It's not required in the sequential order, which means you can challenge the advanced category right away. Some of the other considerations, there's a minimum 24 hours required for retaking the exam if you failed at the first time. So make sure you plan it out. For example, we've had students who challenged the advanced exam exactly 1 day before their scheduled flight review time. So should they fail, they won't be able to retake the exam at least for 24 hours. So they will miss their actual scheduled flight review session. In other words, plan ahead. Give yourself plenty of time to challenge the advanced exam before you actually have to go for the in-person training or flight review sessions. There's a 24 months recency requirement. The recency requirement means you can complete any Transport Canada approved activities to meet the recency requirement. For example, we have a renewal and compliance course that's completely online. The information is on our website under the training courses section if you're interested. Minimum age requirements is minimum 14 for the basic category and minimum 16 for the advanced category. Some general questions. This is an online course, complete online course, which also simulates, so the course features and functionality also simulates Transport Canada's written exam online. For example, one of the major technical checks is to make sure you have reliable internet connection. Obviously, it's an online cloud-based course, so you won't be able to load the modules if you don't have internet connection. Vice versa, for when you're taking Transport Canada's online written exam, it's also completely online. So if you have internet interruptions, you're going to find whether losing of time or you may have to redo the exam from the beginning. So it's always good to double check your internet connection reliability before challenging the exam. There is a course orientation module provided at the beginning of the course. Especially, I like to mention there's cookie settings in that orientation module. What's included is asking you to allow the cookie trackings on your browser when you're completing the course, because we're required by Transport Canada to enforce completion of each module. In other words, tracking of your course progress throughout your course learning progress. So make sure that you allow the cookie settings, otherwise you won't be able to load the course content. The other very common question is about the general aviation content, both in the exam as well as in the course. A lot of people find that a general aviation content challenging in Transport Canada's exam. So I just like to mention that from training perspective, there are 3 fundamental levels of training. One is simply understand the terminology, so conceptual, simply knowing something. Second is now having some in-depth knowledge to that terminology, to that concept, where it's being used. And the third, the final one, is actually acquiring the skill sets, transferring the knowledge to your own skill sets. So in our drone ground school, there are two sets of knowledge. There's the actual drone operational knowledge that's applicable to your day-to-day operations. And then there is a whole set of general manned aviation knowledge that Transport Canada requires. However, for those knowledge, it's not like you need to be able to calculate stall speed or angle of attack. It's simply understand the terminology, simply understand what they mean. Looking at the definitions, knowing which one is the correct one. That's all Transport Canada requires you to do. The concept behind it is because most of the drone operators don't have general aviation background. This is just to give you a sense of what's involved in general manned aviation, so we can better integrate with the general aviation industry. So keep in mind the general manned aviation material, you'll come across them in different modules practice quizzes. The best way to review them is to click on Review Quiz after submitting the quiz results. And you can actually review not just the correct answer of each quiz, but a feedback and explanation on them. If you have additional questions, carry those questions into Module 11, because additional aviation knowledge is actually covered in Module 11 along with additional resources. So keep that in mind. Lastly, if you have any questions during the course, you can use the Learning Support button in every module that directly sends an email to our learning support team, or you can email our training team directly, training@altexacademy.com. Our standard response time is within 1 business day. You can always join our live sessions on a monthly basis to have any questions answered live. Now, during the webinar today, if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A feature at the bottom there to post your questions. We're going to pick up each question at the end of every section. That's everything for our general course information. If you have any questions related to pilot certification or related to drone ground school, please leave them in Q&A.